Hey, morning. Here we go again. It's Monday morning. It's 8:30, and that means it's the property finance Q&A, which I do every Monday morning. Oh, apart from bank holidays and stuff like that. So, trusty cup of tea here, ready to be sipped as we go through. And I'm going to answer some questions. Well, I will if you ask them. Because, of course, that's the whole point of a property finance any type of Q&A, isn't it? You only get answers if someone asks questions. So, hey, what is it you want to know? What is it about property finance that's been bugging you? What do you think? I wish I knew that. Who can I ask? I'll ask Kevin, because Kevin's had a 20+ year career brokering every type of property finance, from simple little single AST buy-to-lets right up to multi-million pound development loans and everything in between. So what do you want to know, guys? What is your question for today? And if you haven't got a question, well, hang around anyway, because someone else might have a really interesting question. You think, yeah, I'm glad that person asks that, because I got an answer that I didn't know I needed. There you go. And this is how I've been doing this. Well, about 5 years now, actually. Yeah, it was something I launched in the first lockdown in COVID in March 2020. God, 5 years ago. Wow, half a decade ago. That is half a decade. And here's a question. In terms of property, and I do ask this when I do my BRR events. And I've been asking it this year. Look, if you were in property 5 years ago, or you got into property within the last 5 years, are you where you thought you'd be or hoped you'd be at the start of the decade? So if you looked forward and thought about yourself, where by 2025, I'm going to be. Are you on target? Are you on track? Or are you still stuck pretty much at the starting point and haven't got anywhere close to what you were hoping for? And if that's the case, and we're halfway through the decade, in 5 years' time, we're going to be at the end of the decade. We're going to be hitting 2030. So what have you got in place to make sure that the next 5 years are better than your last 5 years? What are you going to be doing differently that's going to give you traction, acceleration, and momentum? There we are. There's three great words, isn't there? Traction, accelerate, and momentum. That's actually going to push you forward. What hasn't worked as well as you thought it would do in the first 5 years of this decade in property? What are you going to have to do differently in the next 5 years? So, got a question? Fire it here, because I'm the guy to answer it. As long as it's about property finance. If you ask me tax questions, I'm not going to be answering those because I don't have the qualifications to answer tax, or legal questions, if you want to say that. So, hey, what's your question? What's your question? I've got a couple of questions firing in there, so we're going to look at those. Is procrastination your enemy? Because it is for a lot of people. We're going to pop on here. Hey, Kotan, how you doing? Good to see you back. You just need to get a start, really, but doubts creeping. Yeah, okay, that's a really good question. I deal with this a lot. Actually, there's one of the sayings, it's on one of the posters. I don't know if you've been to one of my events yet, but I've got a bunch of posters of my sayings now, and one of my sayings is, actually, I'm going to put this in the. I'm going to write this. Let's put that. But I'm going to come back to this because I've got a question from Lynn, I'm going to come back to this, but I'm going to deal with this first. And I'm going to tell you what that saying that I've got that deals exactly with that. Actually, I'm going to tell it to you, but then I'll type it out later. Look, the courage to begin massively outweighs the need to be perfect. What's held you back? Yeah, it's the doubt you were positioned ready. Yeah, you put off and you put off and you put off and you put off. You think, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. When actually, as long as you can de-risk the action that you take, for example, there's no real risk in viewing properties. There's no real risk in making offers because if you're making the right offer, it's probably going to get rejected anyway. So there's stuff you can be doing, but this procrastination, and hey, big thing to say, Co, you're not alone. You're way from not alone because so many people are stuck in this. There's another phrase for it: analysis paralysis. People are stuck in this. Want to get started but can't get started, sort of limbo, and it must feel frustrating for you. I get your frustration, but I'm going to. I want to deal with that because you came back to it, and I'm going to tell you about BRR Workshops. So hang around because I'm going to be telling you about that. This is a new style event. Never done it like this before. I'm launching it on the 2nd of August. So I'm going to tell you about that. But Martin's coming in through YouTube. Hello. What's the bridging loan process and how to use a hunter's license effectively? Great. Okay. I'm going to come back to you on the bridging loan process, but you're on my you're coming in through YouTube, so you must be on my YouTube channel, Martin. Well, I've got bundles of short 5-10 minute videos that go through every aspect of the bridging process. There's one called, if you search for it, Bridging Finance for Beginners. I'm guessing you're a beginner because you're asking the question, what's the bridging loan process? But I'm going to, when we're done here, which will be done by, not long after 9, I should think, go and poke around that site and look at some of the stuff. There's loads of stuff, how to use bridging at auction. So there's lots of stuff about the bridging loan process. So I've produced loads of videos that it's all free, of course. You can access that. So just go and have a browse around there and see what you come up with. But I've got another question that Lynn's come up with here. So I'm going to pop that in here. There we are. Great. I've got that there. That's good. Actually, I'm going to come back to that phrase of, because now I've popped that in there, I will put this phrase on here. There we are. So when you said these, all your doubts creep in. Yeah. So just typing out this phrase for you. This is for you and anyone else that's watching, Co. There you go, Co, and anyone else that this applies to. The courage to begin massively outweighs the need to be perfect. It's like, you know, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. And just take some action and see how far you get. Now, of course, you're not in my scholarship, but if you were, I'd be on hand for you to bounce every time you had a doubt creep in. Every time you had a doubt creep in. I mean, people like Lynn, I'm going to put a question up shortly. You know, Lynn's being mentored by me, so having doubts creep in is really normal. Everyone has them, but I can't help everyone. But the people that have jumped on board with me when I had my open seasons in the spring and the autumn when I'm looking for new people, they've got me to bounce off and rationalize those doubts. You see, those doubts, are they real or are they imagined? Because most of the problems, most of the barriers, most of the roadblocks that we see are actually in our head. They're not real. We imagine them to be a problem when actually they're not. You know, for example, we imagine we can't find any decent properties until we go looking for them, and then we find we can. You know, we imagine that estate agents are not going to respond to us favourably, so we don't talk to estate agents. So a lot of this stuff is perceptions masquerading as reality. Okay? Perceptions masquerading as reality. So yeah, there you go. The courage to begin massively outweighs the need to be perfect. There you go. Look, here's a way that I've seen and I've used to describe this inertia that you're feeling. Is, look, I don't know where you live, but you know, I'm going to guess, and I could be wrong, that you live down south in the UK somewhere, and let's say you got a trip to Manchester, you know, and if you live in the north, then a trip to London, whichever way works for you, you know, or whichever. You know. So a sizable distance of, you know, let's say 3 hours or more driving time, and it's like saying, look, I'm not leaving home until I know all the traffic lights all the way to where I need to get to, you know, from London to Manchester, whatever, are going to be green. I'm not leaving unless I've got it so that every traffic light is green. I'm not going to hit a red traffic light. Now, of course, that would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? You'd never leave home. But it's what people sometimes do in property. They're so busy lining up perfection, they never actually leave home, to use that travel analogy. Good. Okay, so hopefully that helped you, Co. And hey, you know, I'm going to tell you about the BRR Workshops. So why don't you jump on there? I'm going to give you a link to that later. So, how to use a hunter's license effectively. Right, let's look at what Lynn came through with here. Okay, so Lynn's in my scholarship training, so I've been mentoring Lynn. In fact, Lynn with Mel is going to be a property chats host up in Yorkshire. I haven't quite got the location yet, but it's going to be somewhere between Leeds and Harrogate, possibly Wetherby. So for you guys that are in the north and thinking, well, where's our property chats meeting? Which of course is what you should be doing on the first Thursday of the month, not August, because we give everyone a month off in August. But from September, first Thursday, what you should be doing, you should be at a property chats meeting if there's one near you, and we've got some more opening up during the spring, free to attend. No speakers, no BS, just a bunch of people meeting in a pub, restaurant, or wherever to talk about property. So there we are. But so now back to your question, Lynn. Great networking. Yes. See, so the big daddy of the midweek evening property chats is the summer barbecue, and we did it a week ago, just over a week ago, and it was amazing. We had a fantastic time. Lots and lots of networking, a whole day networking, 5 hours plus of networking, actually. So you're starting early with a question. So when we were at the barbecue, we chatted and talked briefly about getting a line of credit against your property, which what Martin, now another word for that. So line of credit is one word, but Martin's got another word for it, hunter's license. Remember we saw when I put up Martin's comment, he said a hunter's license. Same thing. You spoke to Trinity at our brokerage. Yeah, she's amazing, isn't she? She's absolutely amazing. Such a knowledgeable lady. And she sourced you an offer. Wow, great. Okay, good. And I'm speaking with her later to talk this through. Could I explain the usage of a 2-year line of credit? There you go. And the answer is yes, I could. And I'm going to. There we are. So here we are. So this line of credit, hunter's license, Martin, same thing, different meaning. The wonderful thing about the English language, we can think up 10 ways to describe the same thing, can't we? Yeah, there we go. So hunter's license, line of credit, what is it? So it's a form of cross-collateral bridging. And if you're not sure what that is, it's first of all, it's simple headlines. It's using a property, it's using equity in a property you already own to save you putting down cash, hard cash, for deposits, for refurb costs, or indeed in some cases for the purchase of a whole property. You know, you can borrow 100% of the purchase price. You can use equity in a property you already own, which could be your main residence, but it doesn't have to be. It could be an investment property. Now, I've got videos on my YouTube channel, and Martin came in on that. There you go. But for anyone else, it's just Kevin Wright. Go on YouTube, type Kevin Wright property in, up comes my site. So really easy. Okay. So this hunter's license, it works best, but it's not limited to a property that you own with no mortgage on it. So if you've got a property with no mortgage on it, great. But if you've got a mortgage, you need to make it work. You need a minimum 50% equity. So your mortgage can't be more, realistically, can't be more than 50% of the value of the property. So that's it. Now, with cross-collateral bridging, it's deal dependent, i.e. you take it out to buy a property and you pay it back when you sell or refinance the property. So line of credit or hunter's license is a more sophisticated version of that. So with Lynn's got it for 2 years. Okay. So using one of the properties that Lynn owns, I don't know whether it's her main residence or not, and that actually doesn't really matter because it works the same whether it is or it isn't. So don't feel the need to jump in and give me that information, Lynn. So what Lynn's got, what Trinity at our brokerage has found for Lynn is a 2-year credit facility. And once it's set up, it'll be set up with the normal. It'll be by bridging lenders at more or less bridging rates. So maybe not quite 1%, but closer to 1% per month. With an arrangement fee, with legal fees, with valuation fees. But once it's set up, and let's just say it's for £100,000, for want of a figure, for conceptual understanding, £100,000. So you've got this, Martin, Lynn, anyone else that's watching it's relevant to, you've got this facility for £100,000. It's sitting there. Now, it's sitting there waiting for you to find a deal to use it on. And while it's sitting there, it doesn't cost you anything. because you're not using it, there's no interest to pay monthly. You only start paying interest when you draw it out to put into a property, whether you're buying the property outright, whether you're using it for deposit, whether you're using it for the refurb costs, the stamp duty, or whatever it is you're using it for. And if there's £100,000 there, you can draw out any amount. You can draw out 1,000 right up to the whole 100,000. And you start paying interest for as long as you have it out there until you pay it back. And you can pay it back in part or in whole. And then you can draw it out again. So effectively, it's like having an overdraft that you can... sun keeps going in and out. It's cloudy out there today, but I know the sun keeps going in and out, and I can see on this side of my face I'm going dark and light, dark and light. Now, so it's I don't know whether Lynn or Martin, you ever had an offset mortgage. They were very popular 20 plus years ago as a way to use your savings. But essentially, you've got now. Here's the real thing about this. You've got almost like an open checkbook to the value of what's been approved, and you just draw it down and pay. And the real value of this is it turns you into a real cash buyer. So now Lynn lives up north of Leeds. So you could, and I'm just going to use this number, you could, and it wouldn't work down south in these numbers. It would work, but not on the same numbers. You could possibly find a dilapidated property, Lynn, that you could buy for less than 100k. And using your line of credit, you could actually make an offer and complete in 7 days. So, or less. So here, look, we're on a Monday morning. Imagine if you walked into an estate agent, you saw a property that you wanted, you said, I'm free today, can I view it? You viewed it, and you made an offer, but your offer was, hey, look, I can complete on Friday. So if you want to complete, Mr. Agent, Miss Agent, or whichever other way you want to describe, whatever they identify as, Mr., Mrs., Ms., or them, they, it, whatever. God, that's so complicated now, isn't it? How you address someone. Anyway, now, that aside, look, here's my offer, and I'll make this a completion for you. I can complete on Friday. Now, imagine the leverage, Martin, Lynn, anyone else this is implying to, that would give you. Imagine the leverage that would give you. Look, here's my offer. My solicitor's ready to go. Now, you would need a great solicitor that could get everything done. But, hey, it's possible. So, now, do you think you could negotiate a better deal if on Monday you could say, right, to the seller, to the vendor, I'll have the money in your bank by Friday. Now, if you want to know the usage of a line of credit, hunter's license, I would say that's how you use a hunter's license effectively. Now, of course, that doesn't have to be by this Friday. It could be in a week or two's time. Point is, you can be super fast. And now that would apply if your license, your line of credit is enough to buy a property outright. If you still need a bridging loan because you're using your hunter's license line of credit as a deposit, okay, it's going to take a bit longer, but you can still do it in 4 weeks. So there we are. That's how to use it effectively. Use it multiple times, in and out, 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 over your 2 years, Lynn. And that takes you onto another level. So hopefully that helped. Now, have we got any other questions coming here? Hey, JC, you're back. And you're back with a question. Always good to see a question from you. And remember, actually, I'm going to be telling you, keep watching, because I'm going to be telling you about BRR Workshops that start on Saturday, the 2nd of August. And hey, they're virtual, so you haven't got to drive anywhere. You can just log in. We'll give you a specific link. And you can watch at home on your desktop or your laptop or your tablet or even your phone. So it's going to be it's a little new venture, a little new offshoot of my BRR. I'm expanding my BRR offerings. So I'm going to tell you about that. But let's talk to JC first. Lots of bridges that offer 18. Are there lots of bridges that offer 18 to 24 months at normal standard market rates? Not a lot, no. And the reason is because what on earth are you going to do that's going to take you 18 to 24 months? You know, bridging is quick in and out. You know, it's buying a property and fixing it up, and then either refinancing it or selling it on the open market. So there are, but they're not. They are available, but there's not a lot of them because there's not a lot of demand. Most people are not going to need 18 to 24 months. Now, 18 to 24 month term loans are for development finance, JC, where you're doing new builds or a large conversion project. So maybe you've got an office of four-story office block, you're converting it into flats. Now you're going to need 18 and 24 months for new build or significant conversion project. You're not going to need it for refurbs or, you know, sorting out a title issue or anything like that. So there's not many. They are there, but there's not many bridges because there's not a need for 18 to 24 months. Would they be at normal standard market rates? No, a little bit higher, not hugely high, but a little bit higher. Do these bridges have early repayment charges? No, they don't. Early repayment charges do not exist in bridging as a thing. No. So this is where your mortgage buyer mindset question, JC, because you're thinking mortgage lenders have early repayment charges, redemption penalties. Bridging lenders don't work on that basis. One of the big things I teach when I'm training people about bridging finance on my scholarships and mentorships is that bridgers love you paying back early. Really, they do. They love you paying back early. You're going to be their best buddy if you keep paying back early, not their worst enemy. So there we are. Great. Now, have we got any questions? Let's have a look. Just scrolling down to see if there's anything here. Here we are. Co's come back with some stuff. Okay, great. But here's Rodney. Rodney's talking. I think the hunter's license is my route. Could be, Rodney, and nice to see you actually. We've communicated a couple of times in different forums. You've got 125% equity, assuming a 75% loan to value on a bridge loan. Do I assume that you can only look at properties up to 200k? No, you don't, mate. Completely the wrong way to look at it. But you know, and one of the basic parts of my training is that you don't always need a 25% deposit. Go and watch. Go on to my YouTube channel, Kevin Wright Property. When you're on YouTube, go and watch the video how to shrink my deposit to way less than 25%. Because I've been teaching this to people for years, mate. That 25% deposit is normal, but it's not mandatory with a bridge loan. You get the right deal, and I mean, you know, I've been training people for 10, 15 years on how not to put down a 25% deposit. And mate, you can borrow the refurb money as well. So there you go. So your assumption, can I only look at properties up to 200k? No, absolutely not. You've got 125% equity. 125 grand equity. Yeah, but it has to be it doesn't matter whether it's 125k. It's if you're going to use a hunter's license, have you got 50% equity in a property you own? That's the question. Not it doesn't matter how much it is. You know, if you've got £1 million property with 125 grand equity, and it means diddly squat because you can't use a hunter's license for that. Yeah, and Martin's come back with there we are. I'm going to come back to Co because he's got some things, but great. I'm glad you found that helpful. Good. Okay. Got any more? If you need any more help from me, just go back to, you're on YouTube, go to the homepage, look for my little bit of blurb along the top, and then where it says more in bold, there's a drop down box. You can message me there. Hey, Harpreet, how you doing, buddy? Hey, Lynn, if you're still watching this, Harpreet's got a message for you here. Look, offering to complete within a day or two goes down well with the agents. They get the sales commission that month. Using a wise solicitor, you can complete in a day or two or same day. Yeah. And Lynn, you know, I think, did you know Harpreet? I mean, he's in my community as well. But this guy's been super successful. You know, he's bought and sold over 20 properties, and he does it just like this. He's got a hunter's license. He's got a line of credit set up, and he just goes in there and does exactly that. And he say, hey, you know, I see this property. I'm prepared to buy it. I'm prepared to buy it so you get paid this month. Now, can we talk about price? Massively powerful position to put you in. Really, really pleased that you come in with that comment. There we are. Yeah, I thought it would be, you know, most people, the equity sits in their home. Okay, so your big question, Rodney, then is what percentage equity? Okay, so, you know, let's put it this way. You know, if you've got a property worth 200,000 and you've got 125k equity in it, then you can use 100k. You can use a hunter's license line of credit. Okay. If you've got a 400 grand property with 125k equity, your mortgage is already too big to make a hunter's license work. But yeah, definitely take a look at the YouTube. You know, there's loads of videos on there, but I'm looking out for the one how to, particularly this, put it in the search, how to shrink your deposit to way less than 25%. Now, I mean, that will lead you on to other ones, and there's a lot of interesting stuff, but that's a good place to start. Right. And thanks for posting. Really, really nice to get your questions, Rodney. Thanks for participating. Good. Don't know whether it's the first time you've watched this or not. Don't remember you posting before, but there we are. That's okay. Now, we were talking with Co earlier, and I was saying the courage to begin massively outweighs the need to be perfect. But before we talk about Co, so he's put about 3 posts in there. I want to tell you about this. Look, BRR Workshops. Now, I only do a spring season of in-person BRR Summits and an autumn season. The autumn one doesn't kick off until the October the 4th. So I'm not out now doing an event in person in a UK venue until 4th of October, because I've now got a bunch of people that have jumped on board in my mentorship in the spring, and I'm going to devote the next 3 months to working with them, not exclusively with them, because there's people that have jumped on in previous intakes, and I'm still supporting, but I'm going to put my efforts behind getting those people that have just jumped board in the last few weeks, getting some traction on them. But in the meantime, see us through the summer, we've got a weekly BRR workshop. Now, it's virtual, so you can join anywhere. It's for about 3-ish hours. We've got different times. So we've got midweek on a Tuesday, we've got 10 till 1-ish. We've got a Thursday evening, 7 till 10-ish. We've got some Saturday mornings. coming up. Now, if you go on to that there, recyclingcash.co.uk/BRR-workshops, you'll see the things. You'll see that now there's a lady called Melody. Now, she's worked with me for, I think this is her 5th year now. And she's attended and officiated at hundreds, literally, of BRR events that I've run. So she knows this stuff as well as I do. And she's going to be hosting these BRR workshops. I'm going to be there too. You're going to see a lot of content that I'm actually delivering personally, but Melody's going to be hosting it. And look, hey, it's like £41. And so what we've done is really condense a whole day of BRR summits, and we've really just nailed it down into the real hardcore content. This is just, here's the stuff you need to know. Here's the really essential stuff you need to know about BRR. What is it? Why is it way more important than the strategy? How do you get help on taking action? What are the key points to look at on the buy side of it, on the refurb side of it, on the refinance side? What's the core essential knowledge you need to know about buy, the refurb, and the recycle? And then we've got some deep dive stuff that I'm delivering on why people use bridging finance and how there's 5 types of bridging. Now there's a 5 or 10 minute video on the 5 types of bridging. I'll give you the headlines. You can see that on YouTube, but this is a much deeper dive on that. And so, hey, just go on there. Get on the Recycle Cash website, BRR Workshops. It kicks off Saturday, the 2nd of August, so in just under 2 weeks from now. There we are. So here we go. So Co's come back with a bit more detail. So you've got about 100k set aside for deposit or development. Okay, that's chunky. You can do some damage with that, positively. I mean, we're not sure it would be better to buy a smaller sub 100k property outright and then get a development loan to complete the work, or to keep hold of most of the funds, mortgage it, and keep the funds free for development. We would just worry if we struggle to get the bridge if we're first-time buyers, and that's your current dilemma. Okay, right. So let's give you some clarity here, Co. Okay, if you can get a mortgage on it, it's probably the wrong property, because if you can get a mortgage on it, it's got to be in pretty decent condition. Not perfect condition, but it's got to be pretty decent condition. Which, if it's pretty decent condition, there's not much you need to do to it that would increase value. And if you're going to do something big development, the mortgage lender is never going to give you permission to do that sort of scope of works anyway. So that's not the way to do it. Get a mortgage and leave your 100k for the development. Now, the issue, if you're going to buy cash 100k, first of all, you're limited to only certain pockets of the country, because most areas of the UK, you can't buy a property outright for less than 100k. And the other issue is, even if you can find a property that's for less than 100k, it's going to be in an area of low price properties. Now, what that means is your uplift potential is severely limited, because look, you're not going to be able to buy a property for sub 100k, spend some money on refurbing it or improving it or fixing it up, and then make it worth 300k. You're not going to do it, because those type of properties in that area are going to have a ceiling price that's weighing down. No matter what you spend on it, it's going to weigh it down. Now, it's about 10 years ago, but I remember a guy, he bought this property right up in the Welsh Valleys. Can't remember where exactly, but Merthyr Tydfil, somewhere like that, but right up in the Welsh Valleys. Paid 20 grand for it. It was cheap then. You probably couldn't get it that cheap now, but he paid 20 grand for it. Now, spent 48,000 refurbing it. Did a cracking job. Really looked great. Went to get a mortgage on it. Come back at 40 grand. So he spent in total 68,000. Come back at 40 grand. Why? Because no house in that street or surrounding streets had ever sold for more than 40 grand. So no matter what he did to it, it was never going to be worth more than 40 grand. So totally messed that up by not understanding ceiling prices and how they weigh down on the value you can create in a property. So that's your two biggest challenges are you got to hunt quite a lot away. Now, maybe you live in a cheap area. Maybe you live in an area where you can buy properties for 100k. It's going to be up north or probably. But if you don't, you got to go out from where you live, and now you're into things. Well, how do you know what's value for money or not? Because it's not your area. And even if you did do it and everything went great, you're probably not going to get the uplift you want because again, the ceiling price weighs down and prevents you getting you returning your money. So I think so I get why that's a dilemma, and it's just a lack of knowledge, Co. That's what it is. You don't understand. You don't know what you don't know. Now there's a phrase, isn't it? You don't know what you don't know. How many times have you heard that? So here's what I think you should be doing. You should be looking for dilapidated properties. You should be using your 100k for the deposit. You should get a bridging loan for the rest of the purchase price, and you could then use a refurb bridge product to borrow 100% of the works cost. And now, look, if you're going to do a back to brick refurb, let's say, okay, the cost of it is going to be, and the scale of works is going to be pretty much the same on a 100k property or a 300 or 400k property. It's just the value you add is going to be substantially greater on a higher value property. Now, I've done some videos on refurb bridging. So again, as I said to Martin earlier, go onto my YouTube channel. You're coming through there. So go and look at the videos that I've got on there and look for ones talk about a refurb bridge or how you borrow the refurb money. And I've done some videos on there that will help you on that. Good. So there we are. So, hey, what a productive Q&A it's been this morning. Some really great questions that allowed me to go down and drill down into the detail. There we are. Oh, we got there. So Bax Property. Morning, Bax. Thanks for all the great content and good updates. You're really welcome. Now, I'm going to come back to you, Bax, but hey, Rob, how you doing, buddy? It looks like a replay of that. Okay, yeah, well, that's it. So, hey, if you are watching this on the replay, give me a hashtag replay, like Rob says there, so I can see you watched it. Right, Bax Property. Recently bought a property using bridging loan. I would like to apply for a development finance for the refinance. Can I do that? Now, okay. So let's pull this apart because I think you might have messed up here. Hopefully not, but I think you might have done. Now, you don't refinance it onto development. You refinance it onto a mortgage. Aha. So not refinance for the refurb. Right. Okay. So now we've got it. I would like to apply for, yeah. No, you can't, mate. You can't do that because no bridging lender is going to go behind and say, oh, here's some money for the refurb. when you've already got a bridging lender that's got the first charge on the property. No bridger is going to sit second on top of another bridger. No. And mate, you set it up wrong. What you should have done was you should have applied for a bridging loan that included the development finance. Now, which is exactly what I was talking about just now. Who was that? With Co. Just about what I was talking with Co. And what he should do. You should have done exactly the same. So you got two ways out of this now, and you shot yourself in the foot, mate. I'm sorry about that. But hey, unfortunately, people that haven't done my training, which is so in depth on bridging that you get everything you need to know, sometimes make mistakes. So here's your way out of it. One, go back to the bridging lender that you got the loan from and ask them if they've got a product that can lend you 100% of the 100% of the works costs. If they do, you're probably going to have to pay them to set up a whole new loan. Secondly, if they don't, then you're going to need to re-bridge it with a different lender and start a whole new loan. Now, whichever way you do it, it's going to cost you money. Now, yeah, but okay, property's like this, isn't it? You earn or you learn, and this is a learning for you, Bax. It's a learning thing about how not to do a bridging loan. And okay, that happens, but there you go. So buying a property and then thinking, how are we going to finance the refurb? That's not the way to do it. Your planning, your thought processing needs to be done before you buy it, not after you buy it. But this is life. You learn. There you go. So I wish you a solution that's the least worst option, because if you got yourself in this situation, probably isn't a good option to get you out of it. Of course, you could always borrow the money privately if you could do some of that. Christian, hey, how you doing? Good to chat with you last week, so hey, maybe we can catch up this week. What's your opinion on joint ventures? Great question. Let me tell you, the diametrically opposite opinion to what most property trainers will tell you. Christian, they're frigging dangerous. They're presented by a number of trainers as property investing nirvana. The money's in the room. Be your own bank. Dangerous stuff. Why is that? Because whoever you're joint venturing with, effectively you're going into business with them, even if it's only for a project. You need to be really sure on their character, and will they do what they say they're going to do? Because in many cases, far too many cases, the opposite is true. They don't do what they say they're going to do, and they have a character that has a set of ethics and a set of beliefs that are contrary to yours. And whilst they will maintain the truth and remain true to their own ethics, values, and beliefs, they'll violate yours. Yeah, and that's the reality of JVs. Now, can they work? Yes, they can. Are they more than likely not to work and be very painful and very costly to extricate yourself from? Yep, they are. Hey, and there's Lynn. There she is. Look, there it is. There's Lynn. So coming in through LinkedIn. Heard that before. Dangerous. Yeah, and you probably heard it from me because I keep saying it. So I'm take a very contrarian view. Yeah, who'd have thought, eh? When do I ever do that about anything? Yeah, Chris, I don't know whether you know me yet, but when you get to know me, you know I take a contrarian view on pretty much everything. But yeah, be very, very careful on joint venturing. Here we go. Hey, Andrew. Here we go. Someone else. Now, Andrew's in my top level Ninja Achievers 12-month mentorship. And we were up in Yorkshire last week at the regular monthly accountability meeting. And we did a bit of an on-site, on-patch day, didn't we? Which was great. We enjoyed that. So, vendor finance or private mortgages are common in business and commercial property. Can this strategy used to buy residential property from portfolio landlords? Possibly, yeah. You're going to need the right type of mortgage lender, which is going to be commercial. And so commercial mortgage, and there's another phrase for it, Andrew, it's called deferred consideration. So standard buy-to-let mortgages, mortgage lenders wouldn't do it, but commercial mortgage lenders would be open to that. So chat with Isaac in the brokerage, and he's going to help you that. Yeah. There we are. So good. So thanks for that question. There we are. That was a briefer answer. Here's Co back again. You're very welcome. So very welcome. In that case, would it be better to put in as large a deposit as possible towards the bridge, leaving enough for the refurb and contingency and skipping the bridging loan element? No, because on 100k, if you're just going to put if you're going to use 100% of the refurb, if you're going to use your 100k cash to cover all the refurb costs, again, you're limiting yourself to low value properties. Now, I don't know what area of the country you're in, but typically that could prove again counterintuitive because you're going down to cheaper parts of the property of the country, and therefore you don't get the uplift. Okay, so you're conscious on the level of high interest on the bridge and development, and you have the cash set aside. Yeah. Okay. So this is now this is observational, not judgmental. It's misguided thinking, Co, and it's misguided thinking because you haven't trained with me. Because anyone that trains with me knows that the cost of the loan you build into the price you pay. So you've already baked in to the price you buy the property at the cost of the bridge and development. So pretty much you'd be putting the majority of that 100k, you'd be putting that into the deposit and borrowing a 100% of the refurb costs, and you priced it in to the project costs. So if you say okay, you could possibly do that. Yeah, I mean, if you get up to about 250, that's not bargain basement properties. But the question is, what happens if you miscalculate the cost of the refurb, and then you find actually you budgeted 40, and then you need 50, because now you're stuck with a property you can't finish. So again, that's the danger. But because you're not in my training yet, possibly, then you're coming up with all these barriers because you've got a incomplete view. You've got knowledge gaps there, Co. And knowledge gaps is affecting your ability to make informed decisions and informed choices. But you could do that. But my worry is that you miscalculate the cost of the renovation, and you can't finish it. Yeah. You're a builder, are you now? Wow. Okay. So you can keep costs lower. Absolutely, of course you can. Yeah. So I get that now. So that's really good info. Okay. So you shouldn't. Okay. So you shouldn't run short of costs because you understand about pricing up jobs. Okay. So now you give me a level of info. You just don't understand the finance side. I get that. And that's actually really common. Really common. So if you kept 40k aside for the renovation, you probably would be accurate on your costings. So yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you could do that. That would work. And hey, look. We in the brokerage, it'd be Trinity in the brokerage. She's amazing, but we'd really help you to fund to fund the bridging loan. Get that? So that'd be good. Yeah. So what part of the country do you live in, Co? Just out of interest. Whereabouts are you? There we are. And while we got. Burnt Out Superman. What a name. Love it. Coming in from YouTube. Your mortgage broker says, because my credit score is poor, there's only one mortgage lender that will touch me called Aldermore. Yep. Okay. Would it be worth getting a mortgage host to get better deals? But that's a problem, you see, because this is a bit of trainer bullshit that you get. Use mortgage hosts. Haven't seen this mentioned for actually quite a few years. But here's your issue with that. The deposit for a mortgage, whether you use any lender, has to come in 99 point whatever % of applications from the person hosting, applying for the mortgage. So here's your barrier to getting a mortgage host work. So whoever you pick as a mortgage host, who's got good credit, when they apply for the mortgage, they're going to say, and the mortgage lender is going to say, great, and show us the source of your 25% deposit. And it has to be theirs, because if it's yours, they'll kick the application out, because the host has borrowed the deposit from you, and they don't allow that. And if the host has had to put their own deposit down, what do they need you for? They can get a mortgage, they can put a deposit down. They'll just do it. They don't need you. So I think there's so no, you wouldn't. Now, you might want to sense check whether your broker's correct. So is your broker correct that Aldermore is your only option? Or could Isaac in our brokerage actually say, no, you haven't got a full range of lenders because you credit, but you have got more than Aldermore. You want to check that out with Isaac? Then you come through YouTube, go back to my homepage, look at that top line, welcome to my YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah. On the top, on the right-hand side, you've got a word in bold, more, M-O-R-E. Click on that, got a drop-down menu, send me an email. We'll get Isaac to have a look at it if you want. But mortgage host, I reckon you open up a whole can of worms with mortgage hosts. Yeah, okay. Just more property trainer bullshit that they tell you. Sounds great in the training room, doesn't work in the real world. So it looks, hey, it's been a bit of a marathon this morning, but we've been in here an hour. Wow. I was done in less than 30 minutes last week. So you just can never tell. So It's probably been one of the best Q&As in terms of the quality of the questions that it's allowed me to answer for several weeks. So hey, all those that have contributed today, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Really, this is it's going to be a good one. Now, remember, get onto Recycle Your Cash website and go for BRR-Workshops and book in for the 2nd of August, or one of the other ones. They're weekly right the way through to the end of September. Pick a date, whether it's a midweek evening, midweek morning, Saturday morning. Pick one you want, and Melody and myself will see you there. There we are. You're always welcome. Have a great, you too. So I'm going to have a great day. So for me, this week, a lot of plotting, planning, strategizing for the second half of 2025. So I use this summer break, this summer recess to strategize. Now I've already planned the autumn out, so it's fine tuning it. I'm not sitting here thinking, oh shit, what am I going to do for the next 6 months? So I've already made those plans, but there'll be some strategizing for the first half year of 2026. So and I find these sort of step back in time from just being out running events very useful from business. Bax, probably really appreciate. You're really welcome. And hey, I wish you a good outcome. I hope you can get the result you want without it costing you too much extra money. So really appreciate your questions. So hey guys, you made this a brilliant Q&A. So I'm going to crack on. Got lots of stuff to do. So I'll be back next Monday, and we'll do it all again with some different questions and some different people. And have an amazing week. And I'll see you guys next Monday. There you go.